very important talk. When I was getting ready to do this talk, first of all, real quick, guys, we have restrooms over here, we have water service, and we also have notepads and pens for you guys. So if you guys feel free to take notes, and if you want extra pens and paper, let us know. Yeah, before I wanted to do this talk, I was thinking about that all of us, no matter who we are, have some things happen in our past that has changed the way we look at life. Some of it can be from a positive standpoint, and we kind of found the negative side of it, and vice versa. But I think everybody, at least in this room, and I know the majority of everybody in there tonight, we've had some type of experience, maybe when we were younger, or maybe recently, that kind of changed the way we look at life. Would it be fair to say that? You know? So when I started doing this talk, I was thinking about what stories I could tell, because I've made a lot of stupid decisions in my life, and I could pick a whole bunch. I could spend a whole week telling my stupid, crazy stories. But I wanted to pick out a few stories that defined me and definitely made a change in my life. Some of it was from negative to positive and vice versa. So I want to go back in time a little bit. Some of you guys have heard the story, some of you guys haven't. And I'll be sharing some new things today that I was a little and somewhat to be embarrassed to share. But at the same time, I think if I can help anybody tonight, then it would definitely be worth it. When I was 22 years old, I was a security guard for Beverly Hills movie studio, and I'd be working a shift from 5 p.m. to 5 a.m. And I'd always have a hard time staying up because I really didn't like coffee. But it was one of my, jobs that I needed at the time. And a couple of times, I'd be out in the middle of a desert watching the camera truck while they're shooting on location. And there's other times I'd be in downtown LA in a pretty rough area. So they'd always have me in different locations, but usually my shift was 5 p.m. to 5 a.m. So in those days, we didn't have too many rock stars or energy drinks, so it was either coffee or take those no-dos and see if that keeps you up. And then I also have a little TV, a little 9-inch Sony TV. And sometimes in the middle of the night, I'd watch that and that would keep me up, But sometimes, like I said, I'd be out in the middle of the desert by myself. And sometimes I'd doze off and sometimes I wouldn't. So a couple of times, my boss would go out all over the city and make his rounds to see if, everybody's doing their job. So I got caught one time, and he told me that, this is a warning, we can't have you sleeping on the job. And I'm working 5 days a week, 5 p.m. to 5 a.m. Hi, how are you? You just pull up a chair, honey. So I was like, okay. And then another time I, once again, fell asleep, and he caught me again, and he had this big old truck flashlight on me. And it woke me up like I was all startled like this, and he told me, like, Mr. Medina, because I was unit 13, that was my number. He's like, Mr. Medina, if you get caught again, I'm going to have to fire you. And I was like, okay, so, what did I do the next night? I had the next night shift, I went to 7-Eleven, tried to drink this nasty black coffee, and it didn't work. So I had a friend of mine that said, well, if you need to stay up, come see me. I got something for you. And this was a good friend of mine. I wasn't real big. I didn't experience with too much drugs in high school because I played a lot of sports. I played baseball, and hi, Monica. And being in sports kept me out of trouble. But I'm going to be honest with you, I was desperate at that time because I didn't want to lose my job. And I had bills and car payments and things. So I tried it. And it was just a little bit. It wasn't much. But needless to say, after I did that, I never had a problem wanting to fall asleep. As a matter of fact, as time went on, I started volunteering those extra shifts if you needed extra hours, because that was something, and it was speed, that definitely keeps you up. And in the beginning, I just started taking it for work purposes, because I knew that it wasn't good, and I didn't want to get hooked, even though I have an addictive personality. So I tried it. I only needed a little bit. $20 would last me, 2 weeks. And then all of a sudden, $20 would only last me 1 week. And then all of a sudden, $20 would only last me a couple days because my body started building a tolerance. So I had to start buying more. And then I had other people at work saying, hey, you know what? I want some too. So I'm thinking, if I buy some here and I buy some here, then I won't have to pay for my own because I've got 3 people that want to buy it. So then I started buying larger quantities. And then I started buying more. And then what ended up happening is I'm not only doing it just to stay awake, I'm doing it because I'm stressed. And that's what drugs does to you. That's what drugs does. It numbs your pain. And it makes you forget about your problems at the time. So I found myself living in that drug life. And this is a guy who played sports all his life. And everything that drugs everything that drugs surround you with. So now, next thing you know, within just a matter of 6 or 7 months, I was on my way to become a paralegal. I was going to school for that too, and I quit that job because now all of a sudden I find myself just getting heavy into this drug scene. And then I started selling it. And if any of you guys have ever had those experiences, when you sell drugs, you get involved to a lot of other things that's illegal. Guns, illegal fraud. In those days it was cell phones, fake credit cards, and everything else. So now I am just a full-blown drug dealer. And this is within a matter of a year. And now I'm trying to keep my drug habit. And I think I'm okay, but I'm not okay. And living in the life of drugs, you don't see things clearly, if you guys don't know. You see a lot of different things that is not necessarily reality. And, you know, I wasn't sleeping. I'd be sleeping every maybe 1 or 2 hours every day. And then I started doing more speed. Next thing you know, I'm not sleeping at all. And I'm working, and I'm trying to take care of my business. And now I find myself maybe getting a 1 or 2 hours of sleep in 2 days. In 2 days. If I slept for 2 hours every night, I was good to go. One time, and my mom is here too. She can games and plays tricks on you. Try not sleeping for a couple days and doing drugs. It's not a good combination. I started seeing things and hearing things, and your perception is reality. Though it's funny, sometimes I can laugh about it now. I really believe that. I remember going to my mom's house, and I would drive to my mom's house, and I would see a parked motorhome. It would be all blocked out, and I'd be driving into my mom's driveway, and I go, that's kind of weird. That's weird. There's a motorhome right there. I wonder if somebody's watching me. That's kind of weird. And then I don't think nothing of it. So, you know, and then the next day I drive by and I see that motorhome there again, and I was like, that's weird. You know, because then you start getting paranoid, living the life of drugs. And then you start thinking that everybody's out to get you. That everybody's the police. And you started believing that. And then, you know, God bless my mom. My mom has been there for everything through thick and thin. And when you say that, when I say that my mom has my back, she has my back. I would come to the house and I'd say, Mom, you see that motorhome over there across the street? You think that's kind of weird that motorhome's been parked there for a minute? You know, and I'm all high as a kite right now. I said, you know my mom. So what does my mom do? You would think a normal, average parent who would say, what is wrong with you? Not my mom. Really? You don't say. All right, Mom, here's what I want you to do. I want you to go outside like you're sweeping and see if you see anything out there that's suspicious. So what does my mom do? Okay, Emil, go, I'll check it out, I'll check it out. So my mom is now living the drug scene with me. Right, Mom? You remember. Okay, so she's right there. So she's in there like she's sweeping. Looking across the street and say, you know, something going on? And she would say, you know what, that motorhome has been there for a couple. And so now I'm thinking, see, I knew it wasn't just me. I knew it wasn't just those drugs. And then there'd be other things. And then in the middle of the night, I'd come to my mom's house and I'd hear these noises up in the sky, and I was like, I'm thinking, you know, I'm up, I'm selling drugs, I'm selling guns, I'm paranoid, you know, I'm watching my back, and I'm thinking, I'm being watched. That paranoia of what drugs does to you. So once again, go to my mom. She'll tell you, hey mom, you hear that? What's up, Zion? It's kind of weird, you know. You know that the government and the FBI, when they're trying to catch people, they have these secret helicopters that can make noises. And they're stealth. And I am serious. And what does my mom do? Mom that loves me and has my back? Really? Okay, hold on. You stay in here, and I'll go check it out. So now my mom is outside, the damn binoculars, looking to see if that's true.
And it was out there.
so
I was not on drugs.
So my stepdad, the most passive, laid-back guy, you know, me and my mom are high-strung, and, you know, we're very vocal. My stepdad is going, okay, my son is on drugs. What's my mom's excuse? But believe in all this, you know? So, you know, I lived that life for 6, 7 months. And then finally one night I picked up some quarter pound of speed and a quarter pound of weed and a half ounce of some good, real sticky, icky marijuana that you could throw it against the wall and stick. And I'm coming right back from my connection, and I'm on my way to go sell some of this to drop it off at the Burger King on 15th Street, right across the street from Toys R Us. So I'm going to make one drop off here at the Burger King, and then I'm going to go to that donut shop, which is right next there, next to the Thai place. And I'm going to kill 2 birds with 1 stone. So I go to the Burger King, meet the guy, do my deal. I go wait for the other guy, and within 2 or 3 minutes, all of a sudden 6 or 7 cop cars come right out to me with their guns drawn. Guns drawn, hands up right there. And I am high as a kite. So I put my hands up, I do exactly what they said. But I had some personal in my pants. And I wanted to grab that and shove it down my throat. Just think if I would have did that. So something said, just keep your hands up. They arrested me. Got bailed out, my mom bailed me out. 2 weeks later, got arrested again on drugs, had some cash on me, and now I got arrested twice in 2 weeks. So we end up going to court, and it was my first offense, and we end up doing a year in jail with being a convicted felon of having the charge of selling drugs with the intent to use. So that was a felony. So at 25 years old, I ended up going to jail as a convicted felon. And that's when things started changing in my life. And when you're in jail, jail's not a fun place. And I would have to see things that I didn't want to see. But, you know, I knew it was the best thing for me. That was going to get me away from this. And that, you know, my higher power will love me enough to give me a second chance. I didn't know it. So I had this awesome experience in jail that changed my life. And then from then and there, I knew that I was going to use this past, even being an ex-felon, to one day share my story, help people, and just basically share that my higher power, what he did for me, he can do for you. And that was at 25 years old. Even though on paper, my past, being a convicted felon, in jail, was almost like this is the way the rest of my life is going to be if I chose to look at it. So about 2 months later, I ended up getting out of jail. I didn't do the whole year, on good time, bad time. I ended up only serving 4 months in jail. But when I got out of jail is when it really started getting difficult, because I'm a convicted felon. And within 48 hours, I had to check in with my probation officer. I had to register as a drug offender. And I had to make calls every day to see if I had to come in and take a drug test. Those random drug tests. So I couldn't have a regular job. So I lived my life with this for a few months, and I was living with my mom, and I love my mom, but my mom, if you guys know my mom, like Cedric does, she's a very nosy woman. So she was always scared that I was going to go back to jail. So I didn't have any privacy, and I didn't have anything. And anytime I pick up the phone, she'd always be listening in the other room to see if I'm going back to my old ways. So my life was pretty tough, though my mom was there for me. But, you know, I'm 26 years old. And I don't, even though in here it said you're going to help people one day, on the outside, my past is basically set in stone. How am I ever going to get a job? How am I ever going to work? I wanted to be a CO too, just to get a job, or a police. I can never be a policeman. I can't even vote. I can't even serve on a jury. I can't even get a job as a UPS. So this is one side of my future. The other side is saying, that's okay. One day we're going to use that to help people. Don't worry about it. So time went by. And then every so often my past would flash. And then I get the applications, trying, have you ever been convicted of a felony? And then I got this one side that, because I believe in God, say, don't lie, tell the truth. And there's another side going, no, lie, don't tell them. So I didn't tell him. I didn't get the job. And then thank God I met a friend who works at, who knew me from way back, and he didn't judge me in my past. And he gave me a second chance. And I ended up working for a car company, and we did ride and drives. And some of my friends know the stories. I'd always travel. And it gave me that break. And even though sometimes I'd be wiping cars down at 30, 32 years old, I knew that one day, I don't know how, that I would get up and start speaking this and sharing my story and helping people, because I love to help people. And then that ended up taking us to the gym. Alan Cox became a part owner in a gym, and he was one of the reasons that, hey, you know what, you should think about doing personal training, get you out of Long Beach. And my daughter was born, because you're commuting and you're not going to have no time to spend with your kid. And I was like, okay, but then once again, I'm a convicted felon, and then, all this, they always do a background on anything. So we ended up doing it. And then when I started training people, I started realizing that, wow, okay, that gut feeling, way back 16 years ago, I started seeing things starting to shape. It wasn't necessarily what I anticipated, but now it is. But this is 4 years ago. I started training people, and this was honest money. And then my first client, Phil, never forget him. After our 12 sessions, I wasn't sure if he wanted to train with me, because, I still struggle with low self-esteem. I failed a lot in my life. So when it came up to re-up time, I almost was so convinced that he wasn't gonna re-up, that I almost closed myself to him of not to re-up with me. Like, okay, we're up at 12 sessions, you don't want to re-up, do you? And I was scared of the fear of rejection of him saying no. And I'm like, oh shit, here we go. I'm failing again, once again. And he's like, heck yeah. And then he gave me 3 $100 bills and said, boom. And then I trained another client. And then she gave me 5 $100 bills. And then I trained another client. And then all of a sudden I started seeing that I could do this. And then all of a sudden I started having confidence and not letting my past affect me. And then holding on to that one feeling that, you know what, I can do something with that. And then I started getting to know my clients, and then we started sharing, and now I have clients that I've had for 3-4 years. Susan, Heather, and it's just, Monica and Lena. And all of a sudden now I start having this gift that I knew that I had, but my past wouldn't let me believe that. But something in here said. And not only that, and then you're going to use that to help people. And then I started seeing, okay, now for me, wiping down cars, now I'm seeing, okay, now I can maybe see me possibly talking to people. And then all of a sudden Alan comes up to me. Alan is he's the owner of Monster Fitness. He comes up and he says, hey Steve, what do you think about teaching classes? I was like, I don't want to teach no class. I don't know anything about boxing. He's like, you can do it. And first thing I said, no, I'm okay with training. Confidence level still shot. Afraid of rejection. He's like, Steve, you can do it. So we spent about 3 or 4 months, and we sparred together, and he taught me everything, and just over and over and over. And then my first class, we had 6 people. And then the next class, we had 6 people. And the next class, we had 5 people. I'm like, oh, shoot, here we go again. And then all of a sudden, I started getting the hang of it, of teaching people. I started getting used to speaking in front of people, using a boxing class. I started learning about energy, how to push, know when to back off. And then I'm saying, wait a minute, this is crazy now. Everything going back to 16 years ago sitting in jail at Wayside. And I started to see this from my past start to become my future. And then all of a sudden I started getting comfortable with it. And I started learning things. And then I started realizing up to about 2 years, wow, now it's starting to come to pass. It's a great feeling when you start living your dream. And you know you broke down some barriers. It's one of the best feelings in the world that I used my past to motivate my future. And then a year ago, we started doing these talks. And then the first year we did, I think we spoke in front of 400 people the first year, and I think this is my 6th talk. And now I see myself doing this and having the confidence in all those years of teaching boxing classes. And I think I've been teaching for 3 or 4 years. It teaches you something. Guys, when we start doing something, it takes time. It's a process. And we're going to talk about that today. It is a process of no matter what you do in life, to be better. And sometimes, even though we've been hurt in our past, it is a process. And I don't want to go too far, but I just want to let you know that no matter what we did in our past, if we hold on to what we think we can do, and maybe find a way to motivate our past and turn it into a good thing, then we can use that. And then now as we're doing this today, we're going to do another talk in 3 weeks. I know we're still starting out, kind of like in class when I only had 5 people, 6 people. You know, right now we're in a little room. My eyes one day are looking across the street at John Hawk Stadium, Lancaster Performing Arts. We're going to not talk about it because my gut feeling tells me I'm going to do this. And we're going to help people. Staples Center, Rose Bowl. I know it sounds crazy. You know? But my gut tells me, my gut's never been wrong. It takes a while. But your gut never wrong. Never wrong. What I want to do right now, I'm very, very honored and very happy to have a person come up here and share their story. I got a chance to meet Jeannie a couple years ago in boxing class, and I wasn't too sure about her. She's very quiet. And then the other night I realized she's not that quiet. I won't say that, no, Jeannie. But anyway, so as I see her and see the change in this woman, and I knew she had a story, because I see she shared a little bit at college. So I asked her the other day if she'd be comfortable in sharing her story, because I think stories are very important. I think people connect to stories. And we'll talk about that for you guys too. Believe it or not, you have a story. But we'll go in that in a little while. But first things what we need to do though real quick, because I talked to Brandon, we need to get her wired real quick and set the sound. So what we want to do right now, guys, we just want to take maybe a 2-3 minute break. If you need to use the restroom, if you need to grab water, if you need to go out and make a phone call and call your girlfriend and tell them you're going to be home in a little while, that's fine too. But probably about, let's give us 5 minutes. 5 minutes, guys, we'll have her all mic'd up and then we'll come back and she'll share her story. Okay. By introducing Jeannie Wells to share her story. Everybody, let's give Jeannie a round of applause. Oh, I can't touch that. Sorry, I didn't know it was underneath the dress.
There we go.
There we go.
All right, so that's what I was afraid of. You guys can hear me breathe, and I'm like really breathing hard. So, okay, everyone, just take a deep breath and let it out. Okay. So, feeling a little bit like I should be like Britney Spears. I thought if we put this on, I'd look a little more like Britney. It didn't happen, but it's okay. So, anyways, I just wanted to thank Steve for letting me come and share my story, which when he asked me, I was like, Steve, your story is so much better than mine. Like, you've been to like jail. I haven't been to jail, you know? Not that I want to go to jail, but I just think my story's not that exciting. He said, well, I just kind of want to have like an average person who has a little bit of a story. So I just kind of want to go back and give you guys a little bit of background about me. I was born here in Lancaster. You guys feel sorry for me already? No? Just growing up, I had an older brother and a younger sister, so I was the middle child. Feel sorry for me now? Yeah. It just, growing up, you know, we lived in normal circumstance family, and my parents were both married, and nothing big happened. I just was a very insecure person, even growing up, even little. I never felt like I fit in anywhere or with anybody. Like I was always with my brother's friends or I was with my sister's friends. I didn't have like my own group of people. So growing up, you know, I just thought, what is this all about? Like I don't get it. Like I'm still young, I'm like 15 or whatever, and I don't get it. I don't get why everyone's so excited about life. I'm just me, and you know, I don't have a lot of stuff going on for me. So I thought, I don't know. Hold on, can I breathe? Again, sorry. So I always was kind of bigger than everyone else in the group. You know, I was always a fat girl. And my sister was always the really, really skinny girl, and my brother was the jock guy, and I just was, you know, me. I was the big girl, and, you know, everyone used to always say, like, my grandma would say, Jeannie, you're so fat, man. You know, when you hear that over and over again for your whole life, you begin to go, well, yeah, that just must be what I am. That's who I am, that's what I am. And I just began to hold on to that my whole life, and you carry that around, and you begin to, because you're hurting so bad every time someone says something to you, well, that just began to make me to want to eat more. I would just eat. Someone would say something mean to me, I would go hide in the kitchen when no one else was looking, and I would eat. So then, of course, you're still going to always be the big girl if you keep eating, like, duh, you didn't get that. So, you know, in your high school age, kind of, that's always just a weird time anyway in your life. So, again, with feeling not fitting in anywhere, and just, you know, being the big girl and having all these friends, but, you know, they all had boyfriends. They all got boyfriends and moved on, and I was still like, well, whatever is going to happen with me, like, I'm worthless, you know, you feel worthless, you feel like you're just here to occupy space. So I began to be the party girl, because when Jeannie drinks, she talks a lot. And everyone's like, oh, Jeannie's so nice. Well, they're all drinking too, that's why because that makes them talk too. So we did that, and so about age, I would say 17, me, my brother, and my sister, we did what every good kids do. They put their parents in a limo and sent them to Catalina for the weekend so they could have a party, right? So we did that, and my parents were gone, and, you know, the party progressed, and Jimmy drank a lot. And so I thought, I'm going to just go to bed before I get out of control. So I went to bed. I didn't know that the party game of the evening would be the first person that falls asleep. We're going to set her on fire. So, they set me on fire, and I know my brother and sister did it. I love my brother and sister dearly. I know that they did it as a joke. Wasn't funny. Still not funny. I've forgiven them for that, but you know, as the weeks passed and I still couldn't walk real good, I could walk, but you know, it hurt. I had a lot of burns on my backside. I just began to, because I couldn't do anything or go anywhere, I just kind of sat around and was like, you must really be worthless, because how could people that are supposed to be your family and that love you do something like that to you? So I just really went downhill from there, and I got into doing drugs, like Steve talked about. The only problem with doing drugs is when you do speed, it makes you not want to eat. But when you're addicted to food, that doesn't work. Like, it's like, people are like, you're the only person who I know that does speed that eats the whole time. I'm like, well, you're not supposed to. I didn't know that. So, you know, that didn't work for me because I really wanted to eat a lot. And I did, and I continued to do that for a while. I began to talk to people online because they couldn't see me. They got to know me for who I was and not for what I look like. And I met my husband there online. He actually, he's right there. He hates when I tell you this, but he liked my sister first. It's fine, and now I always say, see, you made a good choice. So I started talking to him, and he was like, oh, well, let's meet. I'm like, oh, yeah. I don't really want to meet you because you go online, you don't put your actual weight on there. Nobody does that. Nobody does that. So I met him, and you know what? He was like, oh, you're so nice. And I was like, what? What do you mean? Like, he didn't care what I looked like. We ended up getting married on our wedding night. Not our wedding night. The night before our wedding. I want to tell you about our wedding night. You guys want to know that? He's like, I'm going to leave the room if you do not shut up. On the night before my wedding, my grandma came to me, and she wanted to talk to me, so I went with her, and she said, you know what? I said, what? She goes, Todd's a really nice guy. I said, well, I know, that's why I'm marrying him tomorrow. And she said, but he's only marrying you because he feels sorry for you. I'm like, well, what do you mean, Grandma? She goes, well, because you're so fat. And no guy likes that. So being the person who had listened to stuff like that my whole life and carried that with me my whole life, I waited. I married him and I waited. I just kept thinking, he's going to just cut and run any minute now. I know he is. We've been married 16 years. He doesn't come in. So we knew that when we first got married, we wanted to have kids as soon as we could. We wanted to have them a lot sooner than we actually could. It took us 7 years to have our first daughter. Through that time was a very, very depressing time for me because all my friends were having babies, all my sister was having babies, and I just thought, here we go again, I'm failing again, I can't do anything right. So I ate and ate and ate, and he never spoke a word about it. I'm going to talk about him a lot because he's a really good guy. So my friends started taking some fen-phen, so I thought, oh, that's a magic pill, I'm going to take some of that. You have to stop eating. When you take stuff like that, that's like the key. You can't go to Hometown Buffet and eat 10 plates of food and 10 sodas. You can't do that. It doesn't work. Though, because, it is a drug, and I did lose a little weight. I got pregnant with my daughter. She was just, I just thought, oh, this is going to fix everything. Like, this is just what I've always wanted. I always wanted to be a mom, and she's so cute, and I love her, and it didn't help a thing. Like, it didn't help a thing. I gained probably 200 pounds after she was born. From her birth to age 7 is when I put on the most weight of my whole life. In such a short period of time, I put, 200 pounds. So I ended up weighing 405 pounds. And I'm going to tell you guys probably all can think about what 405 pounds looks like, but you don't know what it feels like. I was on 4 different inhalers because I couldn't breathe. It's hard to talk about. Couldn't stand up to cook dinner for my family. I had to sit in a chair to cook dinner. Couldn't play with the daughter that I prayed for 7 years. Couldn't fit in a car, so I didn't drive. Couldn't fit in the passenger seat of a car because I couldn't wear the seatbelt. It's a very lonely feeling. it's a very scary feeling. It was about December of 2005, I'm going to say, I just feel like the Lord picked me up and shook me and said, you have got to stop what you're doing. My life insurance was canceled that month because I weighed so much. I took my daughter to Disneyland. Mommy, please go on the snow ride with me. Okay, honey. So my brother's with me, and he's a big guy. My brother's a big guy. And he's in front of me, and they go through the turnstile, which is any fat person's nightmare, the turnstile. And I went through, and I got halfway through, and I got stuck. And I mean, I got really stuck. My brother had to push me out the other way, and I had to do the walk of shame out of the ride. And I couldn't go on with my daughter, and she was upset, and I felt bad. And I, had to go around Disneyland in the little wheelie carts because I can't walk, and I can't breathe. The thing that month got my attention the most was I went with my daughter to her school one day. And I was standing around and the kids were all out, and I look over and she's over in the corner crying, and I'm like, honey, what's wrong? Nothing, Mom, nothing. I'm like, what is wrong? And this other girl comes and says, well, all the kids are making fun of her because her mom's fat. And I thought, I lived my whole life being teased, and now she's being teased because of me. So I knew right then I needed to do something about it. And from trying so hard my whole life, I didn't know where to start or what to do or how to even. When you can't walk and you can't breathe and you can't do something, when someone says, why don't you just go run? Oh yeah, get right on that. Sure, why don't you chase me with a car? That might help. It didn't happen. I woke up one morning and I got online and I found a doctor, and he said, oh, we're having a seminar tonight. Of course you are, because, I just think the Lord works certain things out. And he's just like, you're going here? And I'm like, oh, I'm not going. Yes, you are, because it's tonight and you called. So I went and I said, yeah. They're like, well, we don't have an appointment for 3 months. Oh, good, because I can get over this in the 3 months. The next morning the nurse called me and said, I really felt sad for you. I really felt like you needed us, so come in right now. And I'm like, oh, dang it, dang it. So I know that a lot of people think that I had gastric bypass surgery. A lot of people who, when I say that to you, say, oh, you took the easy way out. And really for me, it wasn't the easy way out at that time. I feel like it was the only way out. And I'm not ashamed of doing that at all, because it gave me my life back. I had to, what I knew was the weight was going to come off after I had the surgery. I knew that was going to happen. But I also knew that for it to stay off, because you can have surgery, guess what, the weight comes back after a while if you don't do what you're supposed to do. I knew that I had to get it right up here. There's stuff going on up here that's causing this. So what I knew was I had to distance myself from certain people in my life. I had to, my grandma had died, so that took care of that. I didn't have to distance myself from her. Just negative. Not even that I quit talking to people, I didn't. I just knew that I had to put up a little bit of a barrier because I had to take care of my feelings. I knew that it was my turn to be selfish for a little while. It was time for me to stop taking care of, helping everyone else, and just take care of myself for a little while. And that was really hard for me to do, because I love to, like, are you okay? Do you need anything? Can I do anything for you? So it was really hard for me. And I had to, like Steve says all the time, it's all about who you have in your corner. I had to put healthy people with healthy relationships on my side. I have really good friends that would just call me and be like, what do you need? Can I just pray with you? Can I do this for you? What do you need? And I'll say, oh, I'm fine. No, we don't believe you. I go, okay, I'm not. I remember one of the first times after I had my surgery, the rest of the family has to still eat, so I had to go grocery shopping. I remember going in the grocery store and just crying, standing in the aisle and just crying, because I wanted some chips, and I wanted this, and I wanted that, and I just knew I couldn't. Because I knew that the first time I went back to that, it was too soon to get back in that place. But it was hard. It was a hard struggle. I went to Curves every day because Curves was the only place where I felt comfortable. I never would have thought of ever in my life going to a place like Monster Fitness, ever. I ended up losing 230 pounds. And I think a lot of what I learned, and I had another baby, he's terror. And so what I learned, what I saw was I was slipping back into, and I put on probably 50 pounds, and I thought, oh. But because I did everything right and worked on my mental, and it wasn't just, I always told everyone, I don't want to look cute. I want to feel better. I don't care what I look like. I want to feel better. Looking better is nice. It's nice not to have to shop in a catalog and, wear a bed sheet to bed. It's fine. The thing that I had to work on the most to get better was I had to forgive a lot of things in my life. I had to forget, I had to forgive my grandma for saying that she was trying to help me. She just didn't know how. So she said mean things, and she probably didn't know that it damaged me as much as it did. I had to forgive my brother and sister. I loved my brother and sister a lot. Me and my brother are really close, and a lot of people don't believe that when I say them, because we just did not like each other for a long time. Let me see. I'm not 100% better. I probably won't be 100% better for a long time. I struggle every day. I have to get up every morning and make a conscious decision to do what I'm going to do every morning. Am I going to stay here and do nothing on the couch and feel sorry for myself, or am I going to get out and do something? I try to go to the gym almost every day because everyone's like, why do you go to the gym every day? What's wrong with you? I know I need to, I know I have to keep myself in line. So it's been a long struggle. It takes a long time to get better. It's been 5 years. I still don't have it all together. I still have my bad days. But if I can wake up the next day and have a good day, then I've conquered what was wrong the day before. So anyway, I'm in a place now where I'm happy. My family's happy. I can play with my kids, and I like myself a little bit more. So thank you.
Give her another round of applause. You guys can hear it in her voice that she had a hard time sharing her story. But when we met the other day, she knew she was going to have a hard time. She cares about so much of helping people that she felt like if it could help anybody today, then it would be worth it. So I just Brandon, give me another 5 minutes, just kidding. Which way to go? No. I'm dyslexic. How I get up there, I have no idea. Okay.
That was so hard.
Okay, you hear me now? Test. Okay, one of the things, and it's funny because this is just going to flow what we're going to talk about. One of the things she had to do is forgive her family. Forgive the people who hurt her. How many people right now are still holding on to a grudge? It's like this. I didn't ask to lift your hands, you did, Brandon, everybody. Heather, double deuce. David, double deuce 3. It's a family affair.
We're human.
Yes, we are. We hold a grudge. And what happens when we hold a grudge?
It hurts.
It hurts. We'll get everybody involved. It hurts, doesn't it? And it requires what? Energy. energy to hold on to that grudge. And it freezes you. And you can't move forward. Because you're what? You're so committed, you're so concentrated on that person that hurts you or whatever hurts you. And it'll freeze you right in your tracks. And I was talking to my friend about this the other day. That person or that thing or that employer that maybe fired you, they've moved on. They've hired somebody else. But you haven't forgiven. And you're still on there. That boyfriend, that girlfriend that left you, they've moved on. And they replaced you. But you haven't. And now you can't go into another relationship because you're holding on to the past. And it's affecting how you treat that person that you're in. And it's even, I tip my hat to Todd. Because somebody like Jeannie and me, who've had a lot of tough experiences, we take it out on our what? Our loved ones. And they're the ones taking all the punches. But Todd loved her enough to be there. So we take it out. And I'm sure Todd's like, well, I didn't. But I love you. So we're taking everything out on the people who we love. And I'm guilty of this. I take it out on my mom and all some of my friends. For the people that hurt me in my past. And then now we know why we don't have good relationships. Because we're carrying that luggage. One of the things that I had to do is let go of the past of some of the police officers when I got arrested. Did some things to me. Lied on the police report because he knew I was a drug dealer. And he grabbed his flashlight when I was arrested. And you know, he's like, Mr. Medina, I know I've been watching you. And he does this right on the head. Not hard. He didn't do a Rodney King. But he sent a message to me. Like, you're a piece of... Exactly. And my father, thank God my father, taught me. Son, when you see the police, you say no, sir. Yes, sir. You respect them. You don't need to like them, but you need to respect them. And I didn't do nothing. I didn't open my mouth. I didn't have it coming. But I had to let that go. Because I can't point the finger on one bad officer and you know, and all the police officers are bad. Because they're not. But I could have. I chose not to, and I had to get rid of that. Jeannie had to get rid of that to move forward. I'm going to share a video in a couple minutes, guys, of a gentleman who really had to let go of the past. And I'm very, very excited about it. We're going to do it in a couple minutes, Brandon. I just want to go over a couple things. I guess what I'm saying right now is, how long will we freeze at the moment of our past? If you want to get in another relationship, but the thought of jumping into a relationship just makes you cringe, because you know you're going to get hurt. That part of your past. Just like Jeannie said, just like, and I was talking about, it takes time. But when will we say enough is enough? I have to move on, or I will never get better. It's not easy. Can it be done? Absolutely. I guess it all depends how bad you want it. How bad do you want it? I wanted it pretty bad. Took me a long time to pay it off, but it's paying off. Jeannie wanted it bad. 200 pounds? So this made it, and it was funny, she didn't share everything, she told me a little bit about it, but to 200 pounds, and I'm a personal trainer, and I see what people have to do. That's amazing. Heather's lost 100 pounds. Susan, how much do you lost? 60 pounds. Gilda, how much do you lost? 30, right?
No.
How many?
It went right back up.
It's okay. It's okay. It's never too late. It's okay. Your past doesn't determine your future. On that note of what's stopping us, is it excuses or comfort zone? Anybody, just answer. Both. Why does it feel comfort? Anybody want to share real quick? Just a couple words. What's comfort about your position? You know it. It becomes normal. Funny that you say that. when I got out of jail and I knew that I was going to be okay, I had this experience with God, and I thought right then that everything was going to be good, and I am strong to go on. Little did I know when I got out of jail that in my mind I figured that I had to move forward, but my emotions had to catch up to that. I didn't realize that I was depressed for about 4 to 5 years. That I would get emotional watching certain movies that I would do now. When you'd see these stupid commercials about depression and they flash, do you have this son? I'm like, oh my God, that's me, that's me, that's me, that's me. Kodak commercial, I'm bawling. Shawshank Redemption, I've seen it 100 times, bawling. Morgan Freeman. It's a bad way to live in fear. Like, and then my mom isn't home, but I never cried in front of her. But I didn't realize that. I get a knot in my stomach thinking that. But my mind says I'm going to be okay. Kind of like the relationship, that experience. You're going to be okay, you're going to be okay. But your emotions have to catch up to that. In the part of my close, I don't want to jump around, but I think it's a good time to say this. We're going to teach you guys how to use that. Use it to work on your future. Very effective. If I were to go into another depression, I'd go ahead and get help. I'd find somebody, go back to GH support group. I wouldn't waste 5 years. Did I learn from those 5 years? Yes. But what if it happened again? No, I'll go see somebody. Therapist, I don't care what it is, but my pride. We have pride men in here. Well, we're okay. I don't want to see a counselor. I don't need this therapist. You know what a good therapist is? It's a person that listens to you. They really don't even tell you what to do. They just listen to you. And you end up figuring it out.
You're a good therapist.
Thank you. I do training and therapy. Some days we train, some days we do therapy.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's probably why I've had my clients for 4 or 5 years. It's cheaper.
So you're a keeper.
It's true. It's true. But we think I'm crazy if I go see a therapist. I would never do that.
No, you're not.
I think you're crazy if you don't go get help. That's what I've learned. And I'm guilty of having pride. Pride will never make you better. You'll lose everything for pride. And men, we have big pride issues. We don't want to let people know that we're hurting. And we sure don't want to let you know that we're crying. And everything is fine. And then when you're good, well, the one that leaves you, then you realize, oh, maybe there's something wrong with me. If your last 3 relationships are telling you the same thing, maybe there is something. If you're mean and boisterous and you know you're selfish, if your last 3 relationships have told you you're selfish, I'm gonna take a shot in the dark. You may be selfish. You know, there I go bouncing around a bit. Sorry. So that's what we want to do. Go back to where we're at. Excuses, comfort zone. One example of a friend of mine, going back to how long. I got she typed it out, so I'm going to read it verbatim because I don't want to get it wrong. Was a friend of mine was in an abusive relationship. One day her husband was yelling at her for some minor reason in front of their daughter. She decided right then that she was not going to let her daughter grow up and believe this was okay for a man to treat her like this. A minor reason. That's what I like about that story right there. A minor reason. Because sometimes it just takes that sick and tired of being sick and tired. It doesn't need a big extravagant thing. It can be something really small that says, you know what? Enough is enough. And then calls. If that same guy would have yelled at her 2-3 years ago, she probably would have put up with it. But she put up with it for over and over and over. And I'm sure he probably said, what's wrong with you? What's the big deal? No, you've been doing it for 10 years. A woman that leaves her man. And the man's like, what happened? I'm planning that for 10 years to leave her ass. Women have a plan. Be careful with a woman with a plan. Men, we say, I gotta go, we'll go sleep in the car and we're gone. Come back, say sorry. But a woman will put up with it, put up with it, put up with it, put up with it, and then when they're done, Ladies, when they're done, exactly. And we're going, what happened? You just made me breakfast last night. We just had sex, intimacy last night. And but your mind and your emotions are way gone. You've already moved on. She made a decision. She was sick and tired of being sick and tired. And maybe I want to push that tonight, because are we sick and tired of being sick and tired yet? Some of us want to be, and I'm going to be honest, chances are some of you guys will go back to your house and say, hey, that's good, they'll go away. But if you're at, I am done being done, that's when we start moving. When Jeannie said when her daughters, you know, about being overweight, that's when she said, you know what, nuh-uh. When my daughter came and saw me, my oldest, in jail, and at that time of visiting, there'd be chicken wire at wayside, and she would stick, there was a police officer on that side watching so we couldn't give no illegal contraband. And then my daughter, Sienna, my mom would take her, she was 1 year old, and she would stick her hand to touch me on a visit day, and I'd grab it. And I remember that day saying, I'm not going to ever be embarrassed of her dad. I don't want her to come and see her dad in jail. I'd see people next to me seeing their kids, 10, 11 years old, visiting their dad in jail. I don't want to be embarrassed. I'll make sure she never remembers this. She'll never remember her dad. And if I'm a goody-goody to her dad, that's fine, but I'm not going to be an embarrassment. That's one of the reasons why I'm doing this too. I don't want my daughter being embarrassed of me. She's 18 now. She's one of the reasons why I'm doing this. What's it going to take for us to make that change? The choice, how we live our lives and how we live in our future, is up to us. Some of us may take an experience where you might have to do something or go through something to say, oh, I need to change. I needed it. Or maybe one of you, some of you guys can be a little bit different and say, I'm going to take what Steve says, and I'm going to take what Jeannie says, and I'm going to listen to this video that we're getting ready to show right now, and I'm going to say, you know what? I'm going to learn from those guys. And then I'll be a happy man. Because I think that's what we're trying to do. On that note, guys, let me set the stage with this video, because the video was kind of long. We had to splice it up a little bit. This is a gentleman, a few months ago, was given the Arthur Ashe Award to the ESPYs for what he did. He was accused of committing a murder, and they found him guilty. And, Rich, you want to get ready for this? And what we're going to do, guilty, and he ended up spending a lot of time in prison. And I just kind of want to narrate that right now. I want to set the tone. It's an 8-minute video, guys, so if you want to just turn your chairs around, I just really want you to listen to him talking on this video. I think that's probably the most important. But bear with me, guys, because we spliced it up, but it's still going to be 8 minutes. Can we cut those lights? I'll cut the lights up. Okay. Friend, you got that?
Prison time, you're in a box. Every second, every day, every year, every decade, there's no hope. No matter what you accomplish in there, no matter what you're doing there, you're still in that box.
In 1983, Dewey Bozella arrived at Sing Sing Maximum Security Prison, a broken and bitter man. Life had hardly been fair to him. As a 9-year-old boy in Brooklyn, New York, he'd watched his father beat his mother to death. A few years later, it was his brother, stabbed and killed in a fight. At 17, Dewey moved upstate to the small city of Poughkeepsie to get away and find a better life. A few months after he arrived, he was arrested for the murder of a 92-year-old woman. The only evidence against him was a couple of local criminals who swore he did it. But Dewey Bozella got 20 years to life. He spent his first few years behind bars, angry and isolated. Then he discovered the prison boxing program. It was in this unlikely sanctuary of serenity that Dewey found hope.
The whole boxing my life. Boxing is what saved me. Boxing deals with morals, obligations, and responsibilities. And the main thing is discipline. It helped me to find that freedom I needed. That was my peace.
In the ring, life made sense, and Dewey's talent was unmistakable. He became the prison's undefeated light heavyweight champion. So impressive were his skills that a special fight was scheduled at Sing Sing against New York City's Golden Gloves champ, Lou DeVal.
It was one of those fights. It was a war.
I hit him with a good body punch. I thought I had him.
He's one of those guys who just kept picking.
He hit me with a three-punch combination. Blood just came straight down, just like that.
The fight was stopped. I was the lucky one, because if I would have got cut, he would have probably won. I walked out of Sing Sing was like, dodged the bullet.
What I loved about it, even though it was a loss, was the fact that he's the first man to knock down Roy Jones. I can't complain. I'm happy.
Win or lose, Dewey had found his salvation in boxing, and boxing had given him the strength to embark on a much bigger fight. The fight of his life, the fight for his freedom. It began with a retrial in 1990.
We were very optimistic. Everyone in the courtroom, when the jury went to retire, had said they'll be back in a half an hour with a not guilty verdict.
The district attorney was nervous and quickly came to Dewey with a deal. If he admitted his guilt, he'd walk out of court a free man. But boxing had transformed Dewey, and in that moment he made a choice. His life would be defined by how he lived it, not where he spent it.
I'll die before I tell you I did it. I can't. You're not gonna make me say something I didn't do. Everything that I stood for, everything would have been taken away from me, everything. I can't live with you or anybody else telling me that I killed an old woman. So what do I do? What do I do as a man, you know?
For Dewey, his integrity is the most important thing, and I don't think Dewey would have been able to look himself in the mirror if he had confessed to something he hadn't done.
That choice would cost him. When somehow, with even less evidence than the first trial, Dewey was convicted again and sent back to prison. But in Sing Sing, the fighter was defiant. To Dewey Bozella, it was simple. The only thing to do after a knockdown was to get back up.
Dewey would write to me, can we do this? Can we do that? Dewey always felt that he would get out.
My faith was based on having it inside me that I'm getting out.
He wrote Jet, Ebony, 60 Minutes. Dewey never gave up.
Dewey Bozella had walked into prison all but forgotten by the world. But inside, he had made a choice to better it. He spent his days in the gym training his body and his nights in the classroom training his mind, earning bachelor's and master's degrees. He also married his girlfriend, Trina, all in an effort to leave the past behind. But life behind bars could make that very difficult, never more so than the day Dewey went to the prison chapel and came face to face with the man who'd murdered his brother.
First thing I did was look him in the eyes and I asked him the question. So why'd you murder my brother? His words were to me. I was 15 years old. It was something that just happened. Right then and there, I forgave him.
Even though Dewey was behind bars, he woke up every day loving life. He would come down on a visit, smiling, laughing. That was just Dewey.
I learned to take myself from the bad position and make it a better position, because if I hold on to it, I'm just gonna burn with hatred. I ain't allowed prison to make me bitter. My attitude was that I had to make myself happy.
Even when his very innocence cost him a chance at parole 2 decades into his sentence.
Parole should have been a rubber stamp, and it wasn't, for the simple reason that Dewey wouldn't confess to a crime he hadn't committed.
I said, Trina, I'm not telling these people I did it. If I have to die in prison, that's just the way it is.
And he meant that. And that was very hard for me because I don't want to hear that. I said, Dewey, you're not coming out of here on parole. You're going to walk out the door a free man.
With Trina at his side, Dewey's determination to clear his name only got stronger. For years, he'd been writing The Innocence Project, an organization that uses DNA evidence to help the wrongly convicted. In 2003, after 20 years in prison, his persistence only grew. He wrote the same exact letter every week.
I have been writing this firm since 2001, and no one had answered my letters. So here I am writing again, asking for your help. I have for the past 26 years been fighting to prove my innocence.
Finally, 5 years after his first letter, the Innocence Project took Dewey's case. And immediately the lawyers were shocked at the injustice they discovered surrounding his 2 convictions. But disbelief turned to despair when they learned that all the physical evidence from the case had been destroyed by police. With no DNA to work with, the Innocence Project could not continue.
My heart just sunk. I knew he was innocent. I knew that if somebody just dug in there, they would find something that would overturn that conviction.
The Innocence Project referred the case to a powerful law firm in New York City, where a pair of young lawyers were willing to dig in the first criminal case of their careers.
We were facing incredibly long odds. We had lost files, we had dead witnesses.
He needed a miracle, and we needed a miracle to find something to prove that he was innocent of this 30-year-old murder.
What I did was let them see through me there's hope. Never give up attitude.
Dewey's attitude was contagious, and the lawyers started from scratch, re-examining every detail, reconsidering every clue. And though there was nothing leading them to believe that a meeting with this man, the lead detective in the murder, would help Dewey, they met with him anyway. To their astonishment, Arthur Regula handed over a copy he'd kept of the 30-year-old case file, the only file he had taken home with him when he retired.
He asked me why I kept the case file, and I told him I figured someday someone would come knocking on my door. There were certain things in the case that made me have doubts whether Dewey Bozzella was actually involved. Just could never throw it away.
This was big, this was important. This is the connection that we're looking for. This is finally something that can get him out.
And so all of a sudden, we had evidence showing that the people's witnesses were lying, that another suspect actually had confessed to the crime, and the prosecution had hid both pieces of information from Dewey for 30 years.
For more than 3 decades, Dewey had been labeled a murderer, kept behind bars for a crime he did not commit. All the while, he'd maintained his innocence. And now, the new evidence uncovered offered hope that the scales of justice might finally weigh in his favor. On a rainy day in October 2009, Dewey was brought to the same Poughkeepsie courtroom where he'd been convicted twice before.
Until I hear it, then that's when I believe it.
We've been through it all. The journey has to come to an end.
It's our position that the matter must be dismissed in the interest of justice, and the people so move to dismiss the indictment.
Mr. Bozzella is ordered to be released immediately.
Tell the world I'm coming home. Let the rain wash away all the pain of yesterday.
I said, it's finally over. It's finally over.
In my heart, what I was saying is, you're my husband, and you go home with me today.
After all the years, all the way to the age of 51, I finally got my name cleared.
From the moment he walked out onto the courthouse steps, he was not angry, and he wasn't going to try to point fingers.
I'm glad that it's over with. Whatever the prosecution and the police did, I'm gonna let it go, because I gotta move on with my life. If I worry about what they did, I'm never gonna get anywhere where I need to go.
All those years behind bars, Dewey had been preparing for this day, the day he would be free. Free to live the life he'd fought so hard for. Today, Dewey Bozzella fights for a new generation, using his skills as a boxer to teach the values and the discipline the sport taught him in prison. He also holds on to a dream, to get back one small piece of the life that was taken from him. He wants just one fight as a free man. It'll be easy to train for, considering he's already won the most difficult fight he'll ever face.
A man's reputation is everything if he's fighting for something that's of a worthy cause. My worthy cause was my freedom.
I'm coming home, coming home, telling the world that I'm coming home.
Things to make him better, teach him discipline. Before the video, earlier in the video, it showed him that he started boxing because it taught him discipline. He found a place to get him to make him better, and it gave him the strength to keep fighting and not give up. So he used a lot of things to help him. And as we wind down and we close, how do we use the past to help us in our future? How do we use it, like we were talking about earlier, in a negative, in a positive way, and turn it from a negative into a positive? One of the things I think we need to do is share your story. Tell somebody. Two things happen when you tell somebody. You help them, and you help yourself, because you get it off your chest. This may sound crazy. Then again, I'm crazy. I have a back injury that I've had for 20 years. And when some of my clients come in with an injured back, they come in and I stretch them out and I show them different things. And I see their eyes. There's a look in your eye when your back is pain. It's painful. For those of you who have back issues, you know what I'm talking about. When I stretch them out and I see them feeling better, it makes me feel like crazy. Now I'm telling you, man, if I had to go through back injury to help them and get them out of that immediate pain, I do it again. It helps me. Helping people tell my story about drugs helps me. Those of you that have been hurt, share that story. I know it's tough. I know it's tough. And some of you guys probably have some very powerful. Find a way. It'll help you. And you'll help them. And when you see that you connected with them and you help them, it's a great feeling. You have a story. If you've had an experience, like I tell my people, you've had a story. You have a story to tell. And there's 7 billion people in this world. Somebody needs to hear that story. Don't forget where you came from, but know where you're going. Going back to Jeannie. That past, yeah, there's always going to be, it's always going to be a scar. But there's no cut, it's healed. Always be some type of scar. And sometimes when we have pain, sometimes we're trying to fix it. Jeannie through food, me through drugs, trying to fix a wound that needs stitches. And we try to put a Band-Aid on. Cover it up, go to the bar. Let's turn those things into a situation into positive things. Jeannie was the gym. Happy place, beach, book, something that can get you through it. Except the bar. Don't go to the bar. I've been there, you go to the bar. That'll make your situation a lot worse. Probably wake up with somebody in the middle of the morning and not know who she is. That'll make it worse. Sorry. Find positive things to get you through the hump. Don't go on Facebook and quote negative stuff. Send me an inbox. Don't do that. I know we all have to vent. Find good ways of venting. Don't take it out on your kids. I'm guilty of that. I try not to take it out on my mom. She drives me nuts, but I love her. Find positive things. Okay, guys, here's what I want you to do real quick as we close. You have your notepads? Let's grab them. I want you guys to write a couple things down. Here's what we need to do to help you. Acknowledge your past experience. It's done. Acknowledge what it went through. We can't live in denial. We can't move forward if we're thinking it didn't happen. Got to own it. Exactly. This is a good one. Find a way to use the past to motivate you to go beyond, to go further in this life. Use that to help you. Go back to that place. Sometimes we have to go back to that place to be where we want to be. Use that, let's put a spin on it, from a negative to positive. And I know I can't, you know, I can't get into everything because it's such a short talk. I need more time, and I think after our next talk, we're going to be doing workshops, because we need time. We need time to really get in and find out why we're doing what we're doing. And this talk is so fast that I really can't go into the detail, but I kind of want to plant the seed for that. Because some of us, just like in weight training, I can't get you in shape in one session. We can't do it in one night. We need time. But we can get the seed planted, and that's what we want to do tonight. Always remember to have a support group that will listen and offer advice and sincerely cares about you. Going back to what you're saying, people in your corner. Find somebody who you know has your back. And if you don't, I'm here for you. This is my job from now on, to help you. And if I can't help you, I have people that will. Therapy, whatever you need. If I can't, then I'll get you help. But don't be afraid. Pull me off to the side. We're going to pass out my business cards afterwards. Some of you guys I see at the gym. Pull me off, send me in a box. We'll keep everything classified. But do something. Don't waste years like I did. We don't need to think that we have to be okay to be healed from our past. Let's go ahead and as we get better, realize that we'll never be 100% healed as we get better. Some of us think we have to be 100% to move on. Very important. As we get better, as we start making those changes, as we start seeing we're getting better, that path will always flash up. My path still flashes up sometimes. Being a convicted felon. I just got it expunged a little while ago. Your past history will still be there, but that's okay. You'll notice that you're going to get better. Be prepared for that. Don't think as you get better, you'll never ever hurt again, because you will. It's not where we start in this life, it's how we finish. That's the most important thing. I want to give you a couple quotes. One of the ones that I love. Anthony DeMello, the shortest distance between truth and a human being is their story. Drew Barrymore, life is very interesting. In the end, some of our greatest pains become our greatest strengths. Confront the dark parts of yourself and work to banish them with the illumination and forgiveness. Use the pain as fuel, as the remainder of your strength. And one of my favorite ones right here, Christopher Reed. Talk about a man who, very strong man, endured a lot. A hero is an individual who finds the strength to persevere and endure overwhelming obstacles. We're all going to be heroes. We can be heroes to our family. We can be heroes to our employers. We all have the potential. Tonight, let's start moving in the right direction. Each day we get up, I look at myself in the mirror, and each day I see another gray hair. It makes me want to hurry to do this. Each day we get up is closer for us to leaving this world. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I'm Johnny Positive, but I'm telling you the truth. How long will we wait? I just want you guys to go and think about that. And I think that our future is bright if we allow it, if we use some of these tools. That's not how we start, it's how we finish, just like in a boxing match. Nobody cares about the first 6 rounds of the fight. They care about the last part. The judges. Our ultimate judge. That's probably why I'm trying to do some of the good things, but I did some of the wrong things in the first part of my life. Got a lot of explaining to do. I know, it's not negotiable. Let's start living and not barely getting by. I'm not afraid to die. I'm afraid of how I'm going to die. I'm afraid of not living. I just want to tell you guys, thank you. Thank you for coming tonight. We're going to be doing another talk in 3 weeks from today. It's going to be on God versus religion. That passion is my passion is that when it comes to organized religion. I don't want to go into my guys because I really want to end it the way the talk is right now. But I'll send you guys information. But my purpose is helping people in every field, whether it's losing weight or helping our minds, helping us get over our past. So we're going to be doing a lot of things, guys, and we're going to be passing out business cards on Steve's Training for Life, guys. Please go on our website. We're going to be adding a bunch of different things. But please, if you have a problem, come see me. I want to help you guys. It's my job. I believe that I'm here for a reason to help you guys. And it helps me knowing that I helped you. And think of it that way. Don't think about pride. Think about, I'm helping Steve, so I'm going to go talk to him. Because it really does. I really benefit. All right, guys. Give yourself a round of applause, guys. Thank you for coming. Please go ahead and shake somebody's hand on your way out, guys. And I'll get you information. Ryan, you have those business cards you can pass everybody. Have a great, great day.